science fiction, romance, zombies, political intrigue, explosions, everything that you could think of, everything you might want is in this book, Illuminae. Now, you can't see the title very well because I covered the book and it's got a cutout and it doesn't show up there. But I just finished this book today. Now, I started this book actually in November, and today it's January 10th. It didn't take me that long to read it, but I put it aside, honestly, because at that time I was trying to cram in books before I presented at our state conference, and this one was just too long for me to try and get through at that time. So I put it aside, and then my husband read it, and I just picked it back up. And then I blazed through it. It's a big book, but before we even talk about what's in there, let me just show you some of the format of the book. It's all briefings from things that are happening. It's pages of documents. There are some pages of just IMs. So it's much faster than it looks. So if you're thinking, no way, am I reading that? It's not as long as you think. However, it is still 600 pages, so it's still a hefty book. So what happens in Illuminae? Well, our two main characters, Katie and Ezra, they are living on a mining colony, and the colony is attacked by a ship from the Baytek Corporation that wipes out the colony. Now, some people manage to get off of the planet, and they are on some ships out in space, and the ship from Baytek is pursuing them. Ezra and Katie were lovers, were dating, but they had broken up, actually on the day of the attack. And now they are on separate ships and not having much communication. Because things are as bad as they are, because there are only 3 ships left running away from the Lincoln, the Baytek ship, then they don't have much communication, and everybody, or many people, are being conscripted into service, including Ezra. He is now a pilot. Katie, meanwhile, is a master hacker, and she's uncovering some things that seem to be at odds with what they have been told about their attack and what's happening now. The book, actually at the beginning, I think is probably a little slow until you get to a really important turning point, which is an attack on one of their ships, on the Copernicus. And that's really important because the attack is not what you think it is at first. And at that point on, I was hooked. I am concerned about students reading it and what they're going to say, or if they're going to get to that point, because when you get to that point, to the Copernicus being blown up, then that's such an interesting event, and everything that happens after that is so interesting, which of course I can't tell you much about any of that, other than that there's an important AI involved, which I love books with an AI, so you gotta like that. That is also kind of gumming up the works in here. So many great characters, so much stuff happening, zombies coming in. They're not actually labeled as zombies, but zombies coming in when you're not expecting it. So much. And the author of this book, or the authors in this case I should say, do the epitome of show, not tell. The point when I really got hooked was in a doctor's briefing where he's talking about what happened and how he's watching some of his patients, and it's over the course of about, I don't know, 10 to 15 hours, and somewhere in there I just started giggling because it was so well done of what was happening. So Illuminae, I highly recommend it. It's on every list of best books of the year for all kinds of people who are making these lists. So I knew I had to read it anyway, but I'm so glad I did.